We have Angela Barnes joining us from the UK. You're very welcome, Angela.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks for having me.
You're a freelance journalist. You're working for people like Sky, Euronews, ITV, This Morning, people like that.
Yeah, right.
So I just wanted to get a little chat with you about what that's all like as well this afternoon or this evening, and talk a little bit about Kilcar as well. You have strong Kilcar connections, of course.
We can't have a conversation without talking about Kilcar, can we?
Exactly. I just wore the colours for you just to make you a little bit homesick as well.
Thank you so much, but I've let you down. I was saying I should have put my Donegal jersey on. But I got in from work and I was like, right, I just needed to put a nice, warm, cosy jumper on.
No problem at all. No problem at all. We're expecting Anouk Hayes, my co-host, to join us as well. She's just having a few problems connecting from London as well, but she may join us momentarily. So if she comes in, you'll know who she is. So
sounds good.
We'll start off. You were saying to me beforehand you miss getting back, I suppose, with COVID and everything else. You miss getting back over to see mum and dad and everything in Kilcar. It's difficult times, isn't it?
That's right, Martin. Yeah, I was speaking to mum there earlier. So like, this is probably the longest I've gone without getting home to Kilcar. Like, God, since longest I've gone without seeing my parents for forever. So like, very keen to get back, but I was lucky because I was there in March before the lockdown and before everything got really bad. So I'm glad I was there then. But yeah, so now I'm just keen to get back, but obviously have to wait until it's safe to do so because I don't want to put anybody at risk or my parents either. So, but just have to see. Maybe I'll find a way to come over and sleep in a tent in the garden or something for when.
I don't know, for something maybe.
What's that, Martin?
Maybe out in Muckross Beach or something.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'll put the tent up at Muckross and then you can all come and deliver some food to me.
Exactly, yeah. I was just saying to you as well off air that it's not a bad place to be for the virus. We're actually very lucky here in Donegal that we have the wide open spaces and we have a bit of freedom, maybe more so than somebody who's in an urban area or built up area. So you know where I am in Townie, I can go for a walk and it's beautiful either side of me and stuff like that, so we're very fortunate over here and very, very lucky,
Yeah, exactly.
I saw you had a busy week reporting, and I saw one of the things you were reporting on was the possibility of a second wave coming.
That's right.
You were covering that this week. What's your thoughts on that?
That's right, Martin. Well, so here in the UK, I was just kind of looking at how hospitals and businesses are preparing in the event of a second wave. So obviously, the government here is saying that in the event of a second wave, like local effective management, so locking down areas where there are clusters or where the rate is considered too high. So, we've seen that already in Leicester. So that's something that they're already doing. But, the problem is it's like, they can try and enforce effective local management, but unless it's actually law, it's very difficult, as you've seen. People are still out protesting and not sticking with social distancing, and the majority of people are, and unfortunately there's always a small minority that don't abide by the rules, and it kind of ruins it for everyone else who's been working so hard to keep that infection rate down. So I've just been talking to the hospitals, talking to businesses about how they're preparing, and they are ready for it, but they're hoping that obviously it won't come to that. But everyone's kind of just at hospitals here. They're not at capacity, which is a good thing, obviously, and they're retraining staff if they need to for critical care. And businesses, it's online, it's digital, everything's automated, and everyone's working from home still where possible. And even even at the different broadcast companies where I work, I'm still not back in. At Sky Sports News, I'm still not back in, but I'm doing a lot of work. I'm still not back in the studios for a lot of them, but working remotely might be, I'm doing loads of lives from my garden or lives from finding somewhere that's a good place to go live, because we're not all going into the studio yet. So it's everyone's adjusting, but I think the main thing is everybody just needs to be responsible and take responsibility, and that social distancing is important, and for example, as well, a protest, you know, of course, protesting is important when you feel so passionately about something, especially like the Black Lives Matter movement, but you still have to social distance, and, you know, you have to think of the healthcare workers working so hard to keep that rate down, and people who are vulnerable. So if you don't take responsibility to try and, you know, help, then you know, the long-term impact, it's going to be, you know, we're going to see another lockdown, and nobody wants that. So
yeah, I suppose it's the mixed messages that are coming out as well, Angela, you know, from you know, from government as well, from, you know, from Dominic Cummings and people like that who can drive off into the countryside, or even Donald Trump this weekend is off to Mount Rushmore, and, you know, there's no social distancing and there's no masks are mandatory. So it's very difficult, I suppose, to get people to follow any kind of rules if the people on top are not actually doing it themselves, you know.
No, absolutely.
That's part of the problem, you know.
Definitely. And, you know, we did see that, like, as soon as the Dominic Cummings incident happened, people kind of went, oh, well, you know, and it did have an impact, because, you know, he wasn't reprimanded for it. And as a result, it kind of left people more angry. And I think people rebel, don't they, even more. And then the protests, unfortunately, some people use that as an opportunity to rebel, as opposed to go out and protest for a good cause. So I think we're seeing a lot of people just very angry at the government, especially, you know, here, people I've been talking to are very angry about.
And of course, Boris's dad, he jetted off to Greece as well, didn't he? The other day.
Well, I missed that, Martin. See, across things than me. There you are.
I'm way ahead of Sky News here.
He's spotting up on the sport then.
he jetted off to his villa, was it yesterday, in mountainside villa in Greece somewhere. So obviously the rules don't apply to him either.
Yeah. Well, that's it. They've got some air bridges going on, or they're kind of negotiating these air bridges, and I think that's it. People can start to go to some places and back, but it's you know, like now, I think you can go, you know, for example, into France or whatever, but it's just the quarantining for 2 weeks when you get back. So, but it's, like holiday, it's a tricky one, because I get people want to take a holiday and they want to live their lives, but it's just, I guess, considering the bubbles that you're in, and, you know, if you have vulnerable people, if you're going on holiday and it depends where you're going and when what you're coming back to as well, I think.
Of course, you're well travelled through your job, Angie. You know, you've been around with, you know, that's probably one of the benefits, I should think, of the job you have. As a TV journalist, to travel. Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, I mean, it was one of the reasons, like, I really wanted to be, like, in broadcasting, because the travel. I loved to travel when I was younger, so it was always like, you know, it's definitely one of the perks of the job is you're kind of away every month, which obviously has its pros and cons to that, but it's great for travel. We've got to see some incredible places, and in a way that you just, you know, you'd never, like, the way that, you know, unless you're a multi-millionaire, you wouldn't get to explore places in the way that you get to explore them as a broadcaster. So it's definitely one of the perks. And like I was in South America when was it? God, it was like an age ago now. Just before Christmas, I was in South America working. So I was in Buenos Aires, and then we took flights down to Patagonia, and we, you know, we were kayaking down the La Leona River and hiking in the glaciers, and kayaking up to these glaciers and seeing things that you just can't even get to, or you just wouldn't be able to get to without kind of a team of scientists or people, because we were looking at climate change and things and doing different things on that. So I mean, it's a great kind of highlight and perk of the job, getting to travel and see things like that, and you know, experience, so that you can then kind of tell people what's going on somewhere and what's happening, and, you know, that's something that's I love the travel. Incredible.
And you mentioned Sky Sports there as well, and I remember you travelled to cover the Champions League final in Madrid last year, Liverpool and Spurs. Right, I was quite envious of that. I was trying to bag a ticket off you, but it didn't work, I don't think.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry. I had one of the golden tickets, didn't I? That was pretty impressive. That was a great experience. But, you know, even when we were going there and, like, to cover it, because at that point, I think, like, we had to take, like, I think the journey to get there was about 2 days, 2 days back. And I remember them saying to me, Angela, it's like, the only flights we can get are like, will take you like a couple of days to get back potentially, like with lots of different flight stops and changes, because obviously everything was so in demand. And I remember they were like, there was no space left on any of the flights, so it was a long journey. But I was like, no, I'm not missing this. I'll like, if it takes a week to get there and back, like, let's do this, let's go.
Brilliant.
So it was fantastic. Yeah, it was. I don't support Liverpool, but I know you do. But I was all for Liverpool for that Champions League final, and I actually cried when Mo Salah got injured, because I was with
So did I.
Well, I was crying for him, and I was crying for my Liverpool, my friends who are the colleagues that I was with. They were they're Liverpool supporters too, so you know, they were in tears. These guys are in tears, and I couldn't help but feel sorry for them. And Mo Salah, of course, and I like Mo Salah. So
he's good guy.
And it was great, a great experience. And
you must be a Southampton fan, are you?
Well, I probably should be, but you know, the thing is, I've got friends on the Southampton, and so I won't offend anybody by saying I'm not. But like, I do, you know, I'll support Southampton, but you know, I think traditionally, you probably know, Man United.
I know.
Say that you just don't want to say the name of the team, do you?
The unmentionables.
The unmentionables.
Okay, we'll leave that one. You started off your career as well. You've been at Sky for, is it 10 years now?
Crikey. So I started at Sky in 2008 or 2007. 2008 it was. I started at Sky. So I started at Sky News, and then I was actually there on an internship. So it was a 3-week work experience placement that I kind of won this media award, and the media award that I won was like got me a 3-week placement at Sky News, because I'd applied for it as well, but it helped anyway, winning this thing. And so I did 3 weeks at Sky News on work experience, and I kind of walked in. I remember my first day, like walking into Sky News and just thinking, you know, I was so overwhelmed by, you know, the buzz, the atmosphere. It's a really like fantastic studio, and everyone was just buzzing. It's like just a great atmosphere. People were really nice, and I just liked the television vibe. It was just fast paced but exciting. And I remember kind of sitting in reception really nervous, clearly looking like I was ready to on my first day, because Eamon Holmes came out. He just finished presenting Sunrise, and he said to me, you look very nervous, are you here for a job interview? I was like, no, it's my first day of work experience. And he said to me, and he introduced me to Charlotte Hawkins, who I now work with at Good Morning Britain as well, and he said, this is Charlotte, another one of our newsreaders, and you know, you'll be grand, good luck. And off he went. And I said to myself there and then, I was like, I visualized, I was just like, I want to work here, I'm going to impress them. And my boss, and he laughs at it now, like at the time, said to me on my first day, Angela, so, you know, what's your plan after Sky News? You know, when you finish your work experience, what do you want to do afterwards? And I was like, I'm not leaving, Steve. I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here, and you're going to offer me a full-time job. And he laughed and said, good luck with that, Angela. And to this day, we laugh. Steve Benedict, there you go. If you're watching this, actually, if we post this on Facebook, Steve Benedict, you'll laugh for me mentioning you, because you know, we laugh about it now, because obviously they offered me a job on my last day. So I never left the place. So then I was there like 10 years, I think I did at Sky News then. So
and you were in production for a while as well. Were you behind the scenes before you
That's right. So I started producing. So I was kind of doing I actually started Sky News Online, so I was writing a lot of the stories on the Sky News website, and then there was something called Sky News Active then, you know, the red button. Remember the red button? Crikey. So I remember Sky News Active, and then I started doing kind of producing for that as well, and a lot of the digital platforms. And then I started doing reading headlines and then voicing things, and it kind of went from there. I started voicing things, voicing reports, and then before you know it, I was presenting kind of bulletins kind of on the Sky News digital things as well. And then I started, and I have a legal background too. I studied law as well as journalism. So they had this new program called Open Court, which they were launching on Sky News. And then they said, oh, you know, you're best placed probably, Angela, to do this with your legal background. Would you be interested in kind of producing it and fronting it and having a crack? And I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. So kind of started doing that as well. And then, but I think the big break at Sky News came when there was a technology program called Swipe that launched, and I started producing it first of all. So I was writing coming up with the program every week, coming up with the ideas, along with my colleague Gemma, and together we were scripting the show. So I started producing it, and it was just Gemma at the time presenting. And then my bosses and my colleagues kept saying, Angela, why don't you just go on air? Like, you're writing the reports, and you're, you know, writing a lot of the scripts, and you're handing them over to other people to front. And they were like, why don't you just do them yourself? Like, why don't you give it a go? And I just kept saying, oh no, you know, I'm grand. I'm just like, I think because, I don't know, I think you just, you know, Sky News was such a big platform, and I suppose it's that imposter syndrome. We're all guilty of it, going, oh no, you know. And then actually my Gemma, my colleague presenter friend, she said, right, Angela, we were in France and we were filming on the French Alps on the ski slopes an episode of Swipe about kind of ski technology and stuff. We were having a great time. And she said, we've got to try a piece of camera, and when we get back to Sky News, we'll get the boss to come in and watch it, and he'll either say yes or no to you being on screen. And I was like, I said, okay. So we filmed my piece of camera in France on the mountain with skis on, my first piece of camera. And then we got back to Sky News, and I remember just putting the head of Sky News into the edit suite and saying, so I've done a piece to camera this week to go on air on the show. Like, can you watch it and see if it's okay to go on or not? And if I passed the screen test. And I was so nervous, and he came in, and I remember he watched it, and he just went, it's really good. And then he walked out, and I was like, Gemma, I was like, oh, okay. So that wasn't as hard as I thought. Well, you know, like the build up, and everyone was kind of like, the confidence thing back when I first started. You know, I didn't have the on-screen confidence I do now, because I was brand new to it. And I think the first one's always hardest, isn't it? Breaking in. And then after that, I did one, and then I did it every week. And then it stemmed from there. And then I became the on-screen reporter on Swipe, and the presenter as well when Gemma was off. So it just really took off. And then my role became, you know, the technology reporter and kind of stand-in presenter. And then I was doing all sorts of other things then, and fronting shows on Sky Sports, and it just kind of took off from there, really.
Fantastic. And you talked about Sky being a big platform as well. You also then went working or doing a bit for Euronews, which was, I think, broadcasting to about 160 different countries.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I first heard about, so what happened with Euronews is it had been NBC News, the American had a stake in it, and they were rebranding everything. And they were bringing in journalists from kind of the known platforms like Sky News, BBC. They were kind of, you know, talking to a few of us. And a former boss at Sky News had gone over to help relaunch Euronews and the breakfast show. And a couple of my colleagues from Sky News had moved over, you know, to France, to Lyon, to help launch it, kind of been poached. And then one of my good friends, Alex, who worked with me on Swipe as well, he had got a job over there as a correspondent and kind of presenting. And then obviously a few of my other friends had gone over and started posting, and they were, you know, talking about Euronews and posting this lovely pictures in the south of France. And, you know, and I just, and a few people, they were like, Angela, like, there's a position here for you. It's on screen. It's like on the breakfast program, like you'll have your own segment, and the audience, international news, it's 400 million people, you know, watch Euronews. It's a huge audience reach, and 12 languages, 160 countries. You know, like, you've got to just give it, like, it would be incredible for your career. And I was like, I was so happy at Sky News, and just, you know, so comfortable, you know, and just, I'd been there for so long. It's like an extended family, like some of my best friends there. You see them, work with them every day. You kind of, I'd grown up there, you know, and I hadn't even considered leaving. And then I thought, well, you know, I said, there's no harm, I suppose, in having a chat. So I had a chat with the boss, a few of the bosses over there, and then had some I said, well, there's no harm in doing an interview. And even at that point, I was still kind of not thinking I'd leave, but just go through the process anyway for practice. And then so I did the interviews, and the lady from NBC, who's actually become a really good friend now, Emmanuelle, she did a few kind of interviews because she was in France, obviously, and I was in the UK. We did a few Skypes festival, and then they invited me over to France for a screen test for a day. And I thought, oh, you know, like, what harm? So I was like, I'm gonna go. I was on my holidays, so I thought I'll go and check this out, see what it's all about. So I went, so they flew me over for the screen test and stayed in a hotel, and then I went in. It was really, I felt nervous doing a screen test because, you know, I just felt comfortable at Sky News, so even going to screen test against someone new was like, you know, different territory. And so I did this screen test and had another interview with a couple of other people from NBC and from Euronews. And I flew back that night, and I was like, oh, I don't know how it went, but I kind of found myself wanting the job because I had like experienced the whole south of France thing, and they took me, and my friend Alex had taken me for walks around Lyon, and I just thought, oh, this is incredible. And I thought, I've never lived abroad, I've travelled abroad, but I'd never lived abroad. So I thought, you know, like, God, this would be actually quite incredible to try living in the south of France for a while. Like, I could do this. And then, so anyway, but then I woke up the next morning, I got back that night, and the next morning they phoned and offered me the job. And I was like, oh my God, like, I was so in shock. I wasn't expecting it, but I was also really happy. And I kind of went on instinct and thought, and obviously I really thought about it, had to really think about it, and obviously negotiate contract and make sure it would be worth my while to do, and make sure I could fly home regularly and stuff, you know, all of that stuff. And then before I actually and then I just thought, you know what, I'm going to go for it, because I had a chat with my boss at Sky News, and I actually said to him, like, Neil Dunwoody, I said to him, Neil, I've been offered this position in France at Euronews, and I'm really happy here, but I feel like I need to go and try this, and will the door still be open for me to come back if I want to come back? And he was like, the door will always be open, Angela. But he actually, you know, so that was what I needed to hear. Like, if I wanted to come back, then I could come back. So he said, I think you should go for it, because it would be really good for you to report on, you know, different stories and try different things, and the door will be open. But he said, it's the ball's in your court, it's your decision. So I decided to give it a go. So, like, you know, on my last day at Sky News, I cried my eyes out, and loads of my friends were crying too. But then at the same time, I kind of, you know, I thought, well, look, I'm just going to give it a go, even if it's for 6 months or whatever, and take the leap, because it would be good for my career. So, because I've been doing mainly technology news, so this would mean I could do foreign news and, you know, cover lots of different stories. So I took the plunge, Martin, and that was a couple of years ago. So, but obviously, you know, I'm still working for Euronews, but then, like, I did, like, I think it was December 2018. I was flying back and forth a lot from the UK to France, and I was missing home as well. And I went freelance, I think it was December 2018, and then like, Euronews said, look, you can still keep working here, and, you know, like, if you know, they were very good. I was like, I just want to go freelance because I'd like to spend more time in the UK. I was kind of missing home a bit as well, and getting back to Ireland and things like that was difficult to kind of juggle everything. So I went freelance in 2018, I think it was. And then so now, I mean, just fast forward, obviously, all the different bits and bobs. So I'm working regularly for Euronews. I was doing for the last year, I've probably done 1 or 2 weeks a month in France, and the other 2 weeks a month in the UK, probably on average. But with COVID, I've been doing lots for Euronews from here. So that's been great, and they've been fabulous. And it meant as well, kind of now, best of both worlds, getting to do Euronews, getting to do Sky, getting to do as well now CNBC, ITV, Channel 5, and different broadcasters as well.
Good Morning Britain as well.
Good Morning Britain as well, yeah.
There's Morgan Show, you're on there a lot of mornings as well.
Yeah, that's right. Good Morning Britain.
The gentleman that intrigues me. What's he like to work with?
Do you know what? He's brilliant. Like, I mean, I really like Piers Morgan. He's what you see is what you get. There's no, like, you know, there's no being around the bush with Piers. But you learn a lot from him as a journalist, because he knows what he's talking about, and he's very straight talking, and, you know, he knows his brief, and he's very talented. It's not easy to sit there in a studio and bring a show to life, you know what I mean? And he, like, you know, he doesn't need a script, that man. He's just so talented. He'll just roll with it, you know, and he's very, you know, I think politicians are, like, there are so many politicians that won't come on our show, won't come on Good Morning Britain. And that's because they're afraid of Piers Morgan. I think they're afraid to be challenged, because he is a journalist that really challenges, holds them to account, and he's not doing it to catch them out. He's just being a really good bloody journalist, you know, and trying to get the right answers for the public, for the people. And so I know it's, you either love him or hate him, but I think he's great, and he's nice. He's really great with the team, and, you know, fabulous to work with. So
yeah, I've watched a few of those confrontations that you talk about with some of the politicians in the UK, and he's absolutely destroyed them.
Yeah,
every time, and I can understand why they won't come on, you know. And to be honest, I'd love to see more of that kind of journalism, because most politicians, you know, in a lot of the media get an easy ride a lot of the time.
Yeah,
they ask very, very simple and very non-confrontational questions, you know, and at the end of the day, they're not held to account, a lot of them, you know. So you're right. You either love Piers or you hate him. You know,
exactly.
Definitely box office, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Like, the ratings are sky high.
The diversity must be something that's you know, a plus factor in your career as well, because you get to meet and do so many different things. It's not just about, because I was looking at your social media posts earlier. You were reporting on cricket and Formula One this morning. You were reporting on COVID this week. You were reporting on different things. So, you know, that takes a huge knowledge base as well to be able to cover that diversity of stuff. Would that be fair?
Yeah, that's it. It does. Like, I think the diversity is what keeps me so busy, because I can work for all the different broadcasters, which is great. But yeah, I suppose the negative is that you have to read constantly and watch the news constantly and be across everything constantly. So, you know, when you finish for a day, you know, you can't really, you have to watch those government briefings. You have to constantly be across the news. And for me, that's not just politics, it's sport, it's business, it's technology, it's everything, because I cover all briefs. So you do have to have, I mean, but that's what I love, like that versatility and diversity, because everything, you know, every day is different. And, you know, if you've had enough reporting on Brexit, then you can go and cover sport and do something a little lighter. So it's really nice to have that kind of flexibility. But yeah, I guess it does take it's beyond a full-time job, so for sure. But I can't complain, because I love it. It's great. It's good fun.
The impact of social media on, you know, the mainstream media, if you like. How do you think social media has affected mainstream media?
Yeah, it's affected hugely. I mean, for example, if you take Twitter, like when Twitter first started really taking off, you know, for example, Sky News was always the brand with first for breaking news. And then, you know, when Twitter came into it, it was like the news was first on Twitter before anywhere else, you know, like, and people, that kind of citizen journalism where, you know, something happens at a scene and people are taking pictures and videos and posting on social media, you know, as we see all the time. Then, so I think, you know, media organizations have had to adapt to, you know, their branding as well. But not just that, it's just the way that we news gather as well. You know, like if there's a breaking news story, then, you know, like if I'm covering something, for example, and it's breaking news, like we have Reuters and news agencies and things, but if I'm not at the scene yet, then I might be on my way in a taxi or in the car, and I'll be like checking social media hashtags to see what witnesses are saying at the scene. So, you know, it's changed news gathering completely, because, you know, you can get that instant information, but then the other side of it is obviously you can't rely on citizen journalism, because you need to make sure that information is verified before you share it. And of course, there is so much content online that's fake news, you know, because it's social media, and people might be resharing a video of a tsunami, like not actual journalists, but people who, you know, are resharing a video of a tsunami. I mean, there's loads of incidents where I've verified or screen grabbed pictures from a video and uploaded it to Google Image just to make sure it was of the right date or whatever. And so many times people have reshared videos that were not from that scene, but from a previous scene, and they don't even know half the time because they've just hit reshare and retweet, you know. So it's yeah, it's great for news gathering, and it's, you know, we've, as journalists, we've adjusted to that, and to be able to reach out and speak to witnesses, or, you know, or to interview people at the scene, or to see where we need to go. It's great for that, but at the same time, obviously, we just need to be verifying, you know, and have those skills, which is so important now with journalism because of social media, and making sure what we share is responsible.
There's such an information overload as well. You know what I mean? If you can get so easily caught up on the news, and whether you're watching social media, and it can become almost an addiction for people to watch and follow social media. Where next for Angie? What next for you?
Oh goodness! Well, okay. I've got like so I guess this year, obviously, it's been a strange year because, you know, we've had to kind of like just kind of, I suppose, you know, this year's been a strange year with COVID, but I've got a couple of things on the horizon. So I'm doing I'm working with a new client as well, quite a big one. It's so with ITM Productions, I've just started. I'm on kind of standby now for CNN, which is great. That's exciting. So I'm adding them to my collection of clients, but that's for,
you're going to be in the Situation Room, are you?
So yeah, exactly. Crikey. So I mean, that's exciting. So I'm looking forward to kind of that's through ITM Productions. So I'm kind of, myself and another broadcaster are on standby for any royal stories that happen in the UK. So any royal news, then I've kind of just been accredited for Buckingham Palace to go there and broadcast the likes of CNN, CNBC on breaking news for things like that. So that's new. And there's something else I'm working on that's pretty big, but I'm actually not allowed to tell you yet because I think because I haven't, they're trademarking what we're working on. I think all I can say, what can I say? Without
spoilers.
What can I say? What can I say? It's a new, all I know I can say it's a new channel, and I'm very heavily involved, and I'm very excited.
Brilliant.
But I can't tell you who, what, where, when, why yet.
You heard it here first, folks. There's a new channel, and Angie Barnes is going to be up there fronting it somewhere.
There is an element of that, yes. So, but it will be something I'm doing alongside. You know, I'm still going to be working for my other broadcasters, but this is something I'm working on behind, like, at the moment. So I can't say too much.
The future looks good.
Very exciting, and it will be. Yeah, it's going to be great. Good. It's probably more mainstream than news, actually. So quite interesting.
Brilliant.
So I think that's it. Diversifying as well, to do different programs and, you know, present different shows. I love trying different things. I love presenting sport, business, tech, different things. But yeah, this one's going to be very mainstream, and it'll be really interesting. Brilliant. So working on it, and kind of filming schedules are being set out at the moment. But Brilliant. You have heard it here first.
Wow.
And I just can't tell you the name or anything yet. But
big scoop for the
in a few months, I'll probably have, you know, my confidentiality agreements will be.
Well, I look forward, Angela, to seeing that when it happens, you know, and in the same way I've really enjoyed following your career. I've been following you on social media, obviously, and watching you and seeing you travel and do all different sorts of stuff. And I think like everybody in Kilcar would be very proud of your achievement.
Thank you very much, Martin.
Delighted for you, and you know, I look forward to seeing you back in John Joe's or Kilcar House or O'Gara's or wherever it is.
Or Muckross Beach.
Yeah, whenever you get back. And just sorry, Anouk didn't get to join us. As I said, she was having difficulties. I hope she'll be able to join me for part 2.
No problem.
So look, I'll leave you and love you. And
thanks for
taking the time. I know you're really busy, and I'll chat to you soon.
Chat to you soon. Thanks for having me.